everyone? Hey, and welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. Thanks for listening. This is your host, Tom Quee. All the things that I say before, follow us at Battle Resume. We've got the Patreon. Send us an email, an old-fashioned email, battleresume@gmail.com if you want to get on the show. Thank you to everyone. We're pushing forward through to the hundreds and whatever else we are at now. So thank you to all listening again. And today we're taking a bit of a left turn to a certain extent. We're going for perhaps someone you might not necessarily be aware of, but who is very important in a certain way, and not only in a kind of like paving the way sort of way, just a very slept-on pen. A great writer. And Erik, that's how I know you best. Like, I know you have this history. For me, I'm a fan of your lines, I guess.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, obviously, but I think it depends on who's listening too. Like some people don't like certain stuff, but yeah, no, I completely appreciate it.
Is it fair to say, I don't know if I'm reading too far into this, like the way you write, it says to me like an impeccable taste in sort of bar construction?
I think I think it's fair to say that when my focus is heavily on structure. So I would say that is pretty accurate. Yeah. I mean, like I'd say 90% of my focus is on structure itself and the focus on detail. You know what I mean?
Past or present, best punches in battle rap?
Oh, you mean past or present? Like, as in what? Like, you want me to name some?
Yeah. I mean,
random people?
Because obviously, you're so well read. You've seen so much.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to who you really rank.
It comes and goes. I will say this: Big K has some of the most. The best way to look at it to me is if you had the opportunity to go back in time and you were going to be able to battle rap, who might you take these ideas from?
Right.
And I think Big K has a good percentage of them. The guy he writes correctly, is what I'm saying. Like there's a correct and there's an incorrect way to write lines, and I think that's the difference between some of the writers out there. Is that I'm not really big into the half-baked kind of stuff, the schemes and all that kind of shit. So Big K does very, it's like, what I'm saying is they might even be applicable for outside of battle rap. So, they're like wordplay that can be used outside of, it's like almost like how the hell did that not, it's almost like sometimes you think it was made for a punchline, The reality was catered to it. So I think Big K, I think Fresco has quite a few of them. I would say B Magic.
Right.
Lately, I would say Av. Actually, I heard quite a few from him. So one that's heavily slept on. Punchline Champion.
PC.
He's he's heavily slept on, and he has some of the best lines. I would also say Star Almighty.
Right.
Another one kind of slept on.
Okay.
So.
Well, I mean, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, in recommendation. I'm just curious because, you have this knowledge. I just, out the gate, really, I mean, let's begin, Erik, because, not being rude, obviously I'm a fan, but certain people might not be aware, perhaps, of how seasoned you are, whatever, they don't get it, I don't know. They're British, for example, forgive them. How would you describe yourself in terms of battle rap, would you say?
Okay, misunderstood,
right.
For one. I would say it would be by my own fault, but it's something that, I somewhat, it comes with the territory because I am somewhat sarcastic, and so it can come off as, pretentious. And the way I battle as well, like if anyone was to see a battle of mine, they would probably see me as pretty pretentious. I think I'm too self-aware to be pretentious, but in the sense of battle rap, I guess I kind of translate in that way because I think a lot of the battle fans do not know what the hell they're watching in general. And so maybe in a way I kind of am pretentious. You know what I mean?
Right. We'll explore that, man. But I mean, a lot of people would know you as a lot of people know you as the the writer that introduced you, but obviously more pivotal digital steps. You were one of the first guys to upload a battle to YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the first.
Wow.
When I was on there, I mean, I believe me, if there was one, I would have watched it. But I had looked, and I mean, most of the footage that I got was, raw footage from cameramen in either New York, Philly, Um, there were some other areas, but
And
it was primarily those two.
you would buy the footage, would you, Erik, from them?
Yeah, at first I can't remember how I stumbled upon it, but I was on the internet and I stumbled upon one site. It was either on GeoCities or some sort of
Right.
Angel Fire site, and they had some really low quality video. But um, I I watched it and I was like really interested in it, so I contacted the person who made it because back then you could see who made the site. And overall, basically over time, I ended up paying him for footage, and then he connected me to someone else who had footage as well, and that's kind of how I got it. And these Smack DVDs were already kind of like spreading around, and but a lot of them weren't Smack; they were just like random, footage. But
Yeah, you mentioned Famous versus Cedo as one you enjoyed.
that's probably my favorite battle of all time. Yeah,
Wow, and that's like what, '04, is it?
yeah. I
Wow.
think that I think you're dead accurate on that.
That's crazy. Because I mean, I'm not. I'm an earlier fan, or a later fan, I should say. And it's so great to see it extending. So, I watched part of this morning, and it's so visceral, isn't it? The one camera angle, the desk in the background, the sort of the shutters. But all in all, the wordplay, really good performances.
Yeah, and the reason why I like that one so much is because it's one that could translate over time, and you a lot of these battles you watch them, they're kind of dated, but the simplicity in street battling is what gives it such a longevity compared to these other the other styles, which are like heavily gimmick based, and over time I don't know, the craft changes. So to me, Famous versus Cito is great because you got them in a room and they got a bunch of their friends in there reacting to the shit, and it makes it 10 times more fun to watch just because everything is gassed up, even if it's kind of corny or it's not even that good, or at the time it was actually really good, but you know what I mean. It's hilarious because these people are going nuts over it, and that's kind of like the style, and even the way it ended was like a perfect symbolism for battle rap at the time, which is nowadays, I mean, you could do whatever and it doesn't matter. You're still not going to lose. Back then, if you've stumbled, you lost. And that's how that one ended, where the guy stumbled on one word and the other guy's like, don't bring me trash, which is funny because it's like the whole battle was like back and forth the whole time.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's trash after stumbling. So I love that battle.
And, my children perhaps will imagine a day, pre-Brexit as some sort of golden history or whatever. And a lot of people, myself included, I think of YouTube. Again, I got into YouTube sort of in developed time. When you're uploading battles on there, was it a bit more of a Wild West? Was it a more interesting site?
What do you mean?
YouTube, I mean, was there content? Was it, because, I mean, you uploading battles, was there anything else there for the scene? Or
there were other battles that started popping up later. I had seen one of the big ones, and you might know him, is Guam, or I don't know if that's how you pronounce it over there. Guam, yeah, okay. I think it's Guam. I never know, but he's one that I guess I'm a little bit bitter about the fact that people do mention me in this fashion, but they don't mention him, because he was right alongside me in terms of timing, right. And he was the one guy I was competing with, so I would say. There were a few out there, but really there wasn't many that had as much footage as I did, and I was,
there was a lot of Loaded Lux you were uploading.
Yeah, tons of Loaded Lux. I was a huge fan of him. I still am.
But then he got taken off by URL.
Yeah, URL. After Grind Time's arrival, the fan base kind of blew up for Grind Time, and Smack decided to come back. He saw his opening, and so the URL went on there, and I don't know, they got a lawyer or an attorney or someone to help them with the legality of everything. And the first thing they did was file complaints on YouTube. They didn't contact me, anything, which is kind of a shame because 90% of my stuff wasn't Smack. But because of a few videos that were, I did have more than a few. I had a lot of Smack, but I'm saying a small portion of my videos were Smack, and it took the entire page down. And so we lost a lot of footage that probably will never be seen again. I don't know where it is.
Oh, man, it's such a it's such a gut punch loss, isn't it? These battles that we lose.
Oh, it was really unreal to me, honestly. When it happened at the time, I was, I kind of put a lot of time and effort into that. Years of my life was getting this footage. Also enjoying the footage like everybody else. I was watching it. I would watch it on my own page. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of like I have like a somewhat of an obsessive personality about something. So once I started, it was kind of like, oh, I needed to compile every battle on YouTube. Right. I just wanted to have all of it. So when it got taken down, I didn't know about. I might be skipping ahead on your interview.
No, please.
I didn't know about rap music, anything like that at the time. So it was only I didn't even, when I first uploaded the battles, I didn't even realize. I don't remember when it was that I kind of realized, holy shit, a lot of people are watching this. You know, it was just kind of there for me to watch it and to have it on there. And there was another site I was doing it on as well, not just YouTube. But I think it was called Live Digital, something like that. But at the time, that one went down, so that's my point. But yeah. And
you slightly off topic, you used to take acting classes?
Yeah, that was really that was early. Where did you hear that?
That was on the Rowan interview. I've just pilfered his entire interview.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you're like I'm sure you've seen Nardwuar, but you're like
right,
the Nardwuar battle rap.
Yeah. I've been called the Nardwuar battle rap before, yeah.
Yeah. It's impressive. But I did. I was actually, because the main reason is, I don't know. You probably noticed I look pretty young.
Sure.
And so there was a market for me to be an actor because I looked young, but I was over 18. And because you can work legal hours of an 18-year-old while playing a kid in a show. So like Nickelodeon and all that, they would love that. And I was actually supposed to be on a show at one point for Nickelodeon, but
no, that would have been sick.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm kind of glad I didn't, but I don't know. I think I'm too self-aware, and I don't know if I'm good for that kind of thing, because it's a little corny to me. Like even if you notice in my battles, I really don't go over the top in my performances, and that's my biggest criticism, is people don't think I perform very well.
They say you don't project very well as well.
Yeah, and I think that's just the way I'm built. I don't know. I've tried projecting. I feel like I'm just not meant to be a loud person, you know. I can't do much about it. I've tried. I've raised it a little bit, my volume, but it's not really. I don't think it's on par yet. So maybe one day I'll become like everybody else, and I'll just want to scream my guts out. But right now, I don't have much interest in it.
Yeah. We'll touch on it, because obviously in some battles like the Nakiya battle, I think your projection's really good. I think that's actually a good performance.
And I think people have said that. People said my performance in that's funny, because I think that might be my least favorite battle of mine. But a lot of people say it's like my best. So I never know what people are going to like.
You in writing, as in writing battle rap, as in wanting to become a performer, like how did this gestate in the mind of an archivist?
Well, you start off watching, and this is the same with everything. I think for me, I could start watching sports, and eventually I'm going to kind of want to play it. I don't know. You get so interested in certain aspects of it that you want to get involved to a certain extent. And the main reason I was interested in battle rap was the manipulation of the English language. I just liked it. It's actually my second language, but I don't remember my first language anymore. It's I used to speak Spanish, but now I don't know anymore. So I guess I'm just one of those people who can't speak more than one language. But the main thing is I love the English language a lot. So I started like paying attention to the wordplay. Really caught on with me, where I started to really get interested in how people break down words and that side of things. And so I started casually writing for myself, and then I knew some battle rappers, and this was later. This is much later, where it started going through the grind time era. I knew some battle rappers. I would throw ideas back and forth with them, and kind of moved into me ghostwriting for them, to an extent. I didn't really like. What'd you say?
Who are you ghostwriting for?
I can't really do that. I mean,
okay. Yeah.
I think that's the most pathetic move on the planet. I hate when people actually air somebody out for it, because if you were gonna, you kind of it doesn't matter. Like a lot of these people I did ghostwrite for, I don't even like anymore. I could easily do it, but it's just, you enter an agreement with somebody at some point.
Yeah.
I can't do it. But what I will say is this: most of the stuff I gave to people is stuff I would have never used. So it was not good.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Laughingstock calls you the everyman and the elite. Like, you did kind of play that sort of fan god role, or you do to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard him say that, but that's...
It's in your interview again, so I've just sort of watched what you've got.
This guy, you know my stuff better than I do. I don't... You're going to learn that. I don't watch any of my stuff. I've never watched my battles.
Right.
I've never watched my interviews. So that's probably why I don't recognize this stuff. But yeah, I guess my whole thing is I am a fan before everything. Before any, people... It took me years to finally put like battle rapper on my Twitter and stuff like that, and that was kind of a surrender point for me. It was kind of for myself, really. It wasn't for other people. It was because for so long people had kept calling me that, and I kept like resisting it, saying I'm not really even a battle rapper. I'm just a fan. But the more you start doing it, you start losing your excuses, and that's my thing. Is I was in these battles, I'm not really performing up to my standard or anyone's standard, which is why I don't watch my own battles. But I mean, the writing aspect I love, absolutely love. But at some point I was like, okay, I'm going to stop making excuses for myself and just, every time someone says I'm a battle rapper and I say, well, I'm not, it's kind of like a subconscious cop out from the fact that you're not doing as well as you want to,
You've battle rapped a lot. You're a battle rapper.
At this point, yeah, I would say so. Except I don't battle so much. I mean, I turn down most of the battles that are offered to me, and that's a delicate issue as well. Like,
yeah, there's quite a span between your 6 battles, isn't there, of years, I suppose.
And it's strategic, and it's not what people would think. It's not because I don't compile bars. I will say this: I do have concepts that I, like right now I'm sitting on a ton of concepts, but usually I don't have a ton of concepts written. It's just that I have to be careful with who I accept in a battle rap sense. And I don't want to jump forward because I'm sure you're going to get into the battles themselves. Sure. But I'm just saying, as time goes on, you learn about who you face, what kind of opportunities you're given and what opportunities you're giving to people. And some people are not worthy of opportunities to,
right.
So I'm selective.
You versus Kev Money, the first battle, your tryout. Before we get into the battle itself, talk about the draft league. What did it mean in this time?
The draft league was awesome. I mean, when I was on rapmusic.com, the forum, they were kind of like the more like Grind Time was the big guys, and they're on there. They're all on Rap Music. But when we saw the draft league come up, it was a little bit more accessible in terms of the staff themselves. So, because they could afford to be, because they actually weren't as big as Grind Time. So I just liked them from that point of view, that they were a small league. They, were trying to set up stuff to it's kind of like the iBattle these days, what I mean? Right. They want to set up stuff that the fan base is going to like, and I like that about them. So they announced one, and Kev Money was specifically, he was hilarious on Rap Music, and it wasn't on purpose. He would like call Poison Pen Poised a Pen, which was like a funny meme for a while, and I myself was somewhat of a meme on Rap Music. Like if you went on the tags on the bottom of any thread, people had some weird stereotype that I was maybe like I envied black battle rappers, or I worship black people, which is kind of funny to me because it is I mean, it's a primarily black invented sport.
Sure.
So, or art form, whatever you want to call it. So I would assume your top 5 or top 10 would be full of them, but I guess that was weird to some people that mine was, you know.
I mean, it's a fanfare, which is rare for a beginning battle of anyone. DNA's there, Sarah Connor's there, Poison Pen is there, and Poison Pen talks about rapmusic.com. We've sort of touched on it before, but like explain to us, it's very much a hub, wasn't it, for this kind of era's culture?
It really was, and it was kind of it was a culmination of a lot of things coming together, and that's why I thought the Draft League was a cool event to attend, was because it was smaller. I could go there. I had been to Grind Time events. It was a little bit, for me, what would you call it? Exhausting. Maybe overwhelming a little bit, because I am an introvert and I go there and there are people who recognize me from, rapmusic.com, or they recognize me and I don't recognize them. So this was an opportunity for me to go to an event, and it was almost like more of a tight-knit circle, you know.
What, out of interest, what other events had you been to? Any big ones before this, like battle rap wise?
I went to quite a few Grind Time events. I went to Battle of LA 2 is one specifically. I remember that. That's where QP battled Taz, and Dirtbag Dan battled there without a beard. I remember that. Yeah. And then there was Disaster versus Locksmith, I think, at that event.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a sick.
So it was a cool event, and I think that was one of the first ones. There might have been one before that, but that's the one that really leaves an impression with me. I went to Massacre of the Bay, which is probably one of the biggest events at the time. It's kind of notorious for going south a little bit at the end, but it was a really cool event. One of my favorite parts of that event was that Freeway performed there, and he's like my favorite rapper of all time, or at least my favorite writer in terms of music, right. Because his and like you said earlier, when it comes to structure, I think Freeway is one of the best rappers of all time in terms of structure, because it almost seems like he's not rhyming, right. When it's just he's rhyming with something he said 4 minutes ago. So, right. But that was the thing, is like I went to a lot of these events, and they kind of blend together at this point. But
yeah, of course.
I'd say those two for sure.
So as you say, rapmusic.com gets mentioned. DNA says that the people don't like him over there. Swave says they hate your missing tooth. So that kind of sells that. It's a rowdy crowd. It's awesome. You're repping Goon Squad. What were Goon Squad? Who are Goon Squad?
That is, to this day, I still have people who mention that. Not, albeit they're very real ones, and they're rarities, because they're cool people who are loyal this long. So that's kind of a more rare thing. But Goon Squad was, like I said, I was somewhat of a meme before the word meme was invented, but on rap music, and that was the group of people who supported me, basically. And there were two different types there was a split, and I wouldn't say it was down the middle. It was probably in my favor, to be honest. But there were people who thought I was right about battle rap, and I was very opinionated, and I was basically what it was this: rap music had the street, the street fans were like, they didn't exist on rap music before I got there. I got on there and I started saying, no, actually the street battles are way better for this reason, or they are at least as good in this reason than the backpackers. And so it went back and forth, and over time people started coming over to my side, and that was kind of what Goon Squad was people who were Erik Foreman supporters in a way. I don't want to say exactly, but it was kind of like a fun crew of people, maybe fans that wanted to get involved in battle rap, but didn't or couldn't, because they don't go to events. They're on the internet, whatever. So it was a way for people to get involved.
Yeah, your materialization here, into the actual human form is celebrated by Poison Pen. He's a real human being. He says Erik Foreman is real, which is great to see. Uno Lavos is in Kev Money's corner. This is uploaded June 2011. So long time ago now,
Suburb shit. I don't need a reckless environment. My head is the right place. Type of shit, stop for a second just to admire it. Don't ever try to mention my name or make light of it unless you go to test your brain. You may die from it. I don't fuck with the bandwagon and such. Turn every dirtbag from your campground into dust. You feel sound like you're nuts. Hyping rappers up even though all of their raps sound like a crutch. And that's something us fans never should do. Point blank, Kev, I rap better than you. Every nerd in the chat said it was true. So I don't need shared XP to level your crew.
Kev, obviously, Eric, I'm not like a biggest American sports fan, but even I can get his Florida team scheme at the start. Would the Heat disappear like magic when a Buccaneer?
The funny thing about that is I am not like a sports aficionado. Sure. I don't know anything about sports. I know football now, but let's just say this. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. That's hot. That's flames. I mean, I don't know. It just sounds cool, and that's pretty much 90% of what battle rap should be. Is just you should go up there and sound cool, and that is a cool line right there. I would bite it.
This is a one rounder, I should say. Kev has a little bit of a stumble. Finish this punchline for me, Eric. This is by Kev here. Bring the tech in too. Think it's a game, like.
I told you I don't watch my stuff, and you're gonna make me prove it right now. I think I can actually. I think I remember this. Something.
He says Tekken 2, as in it's a game. Tekken 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're gonna have to finish that one for me.
No,
yeah. Go ahead.
No, as in that's the punch. As in, like, bring the tech into the gun as well. Think it's a game. Tekken 2. It's just
Yeah. See, and I think that was
trash.
That's where I was. No, dude, that's fire, dude. No, it was okay. The point is, I loved that, and that was why Kev Money was so funny. It was just, it turned out it was actually pretty good. The kid was good. So, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. He's feeling himself like he lost his keys.
Which is funny because this might be a little bit funny, but I mean, later on, there was somewhat of a controversy. People saying he bit that from B.O.B., which
right.
I heard the line from B.O.B. afterwards, so I didn't know if that was the case, but it didn't matter because now, as far as I see it, B.O.B. bit it from Kev Money. So,
do you remember your first line from your first round?
I really don't.
This is a shout out to all those who don't react decently, and a big rest in peace to all those who passed recently.
Okay. Yeah. I was talking at that time. That was. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
The thing about that was, I think in that battle, and one of the reasons why I didn't watch it so much. First of all, we probably kind of glossed over it. This battle wasn't even planned. I mean, it was kind of freestyle on the spot for me.
Right.
I was in the crowd, and his opponent didn't show up, so they asked me if I would do a one-rounder, just kind of like if I had any material, and I kind of threw stuff together and kind of like spliced it together with freestyle, what do you call it, segues. So, but that was kind of that was the one thing I didn't like so much about this battle, was because it was kind of preachy towards battle fans, and like I said, I've always been seen as like that guy, the guy who's constantly preaching to battle fans, saying like, you guys need to, stop reacting to trash, basically, first of all, and also stop reacting like clowns. I hate that. Where back then in grind time, it was people were doing some very weird feminine stuff when it comes to the reactions, like woo. And all, it's like, right. Dude, what kind of a line, what kind of punchline or battle rap line would incite that kind of a reaction from a person? It seems to me like it's forced and fake. So, yeah, that was kind of what I was saying, and that was, reacting decently.
Mm-hmm. And you don't vocalize too heavy, but you have quite a bit of motion. You're not standing on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of in that spot. I was surprised, I guess, because I was kind of comfortable there, so I didn't. I did kind of move around and all that, but I didn't know. I think people were saying I was quiet even there, but that was afterwards. I never know until after. I always think like, okay, that was good. I was out. Everyone heard me because people were reacting. and then everyone's like, you were kind of quiet. Like, oh shit. Well,
but
oops.
You carry it, and the reason why it's so entertaining is because there are some, excellent stuff. The material's great. I like when you especially like when you talk some RPG shit. Don't need shared XP to level your crew.
Mm-hmm.
Hard.
And that's something that I throw that stuff in. Like I do it on purpose because it's important to show people that it's not really. I'm not taking myself that seriously. Come on, like if I'm doing these nerd references, why are people getting upset? You know that there was kind of a big reaction to my battle when it dropped. Pat Stay was not loving it, for instance. Pat Stay was on rap music saying that this is a mockery of battle rap, and he's rapping about guns and all. Yeah.
Scotia
shout
Lion.
out to Pat Stay. Shout out to Pat Stay. He's cool. I think he's probably, if you asked him now, he'd probably have a different opinion. But at the time, and I understood because I actually agreed with him. I 100% agreed with him. But my point was that people were already making a mockery of it far before I was.
Right.
I got involved and I did it for fun on the spot. It's not like I was taking this battle. I didn't arrange it. I was in the crowd, so I kind of just did some fun stuff. But it was already a mockery before that. People were pulling props out and gloves and rubber chickens. Like, come on, dude.
I mean, you get some crazy reactions. The Babe sequel line.
Mm-hmm. Most of my stuff kind of has backstory to it, but that one especially had some backstory because I was really good friends with Lo Pesci. And I can't remember specifically what line it was, but I want to say, he had a line about the Babe movie, and I did that kind of like an ode to that line, which was like a Babe sequel. And I've done this a couple times in a few of my battles where I will take a line and I'll, do an ode to it. So that was one of them. The Babe sequel in theaters on my G shit was one of them. Yeah.
I mean, the Stephanie Tanner line as well, which
Stephanie Tanner. That one I think most people don't even realize. I was just talking to Jeff about this actually, because he mentioned that line, and I told him that the reason why it's even decent is because it's kind of forced and weird. It's like sleeping with Michelle's is weird.
Yeah.
But the reason why I put it in there was because Michelle was played by twins, the Olsen twins. So there's actually two Michelles. If you really think about it. So it makes more sense in that way. So it's a reach that actually kind of makes sense at the end of the day. So that's what. Sleeping with Michelle's like Stephanie Tanner.
I mean, that internal logic is sound, and it allows it to explode. People going crazy. I mean, you smile, you laugh, you survey the crowd. Like, it must have been awesome to go up there, spit some stuff, and have people reacting well.
Yeah, it felt pretty good. I mean, like I said, it was kind of spur of the moment. They asked me to do it. I did not think it was going to go too well, but I kind of did it for the sake of the meme, I guess, for the sake of we weren't on Facebook back then, but you know what I'm saying? If I was on Facebook, I would have been doing it for the Facebook likes.
Oh, yeah.
But I was surprised. People were actually pretty receptive of it, and I guess that kind of weighed into whether I did it in the future.
I mean, a common theme I've seen, Erik, throughout these battles, you like talking about mags in some form or another. Mags always come up.
Yeah, I mean, all slang terms for guns I've probably used in some way. I even said oo-wop once. Like, I just love slang for guns. I have all of them. But mag is, I love. My favorite gun in real life is a 38 mag, like a snub nose. But so I probably use that quite often.
Ex-Jehovah's Witness, so I know what having mags at your door is about.
Yep, and that's a true story. I actually am a Jehovah's Witness. That I guess I'm not practicing too much anymore, but I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. And
did that involve like literally bringing mags to people's homes?
Yeah, I mean, as a Jehovah's Witness, you have to take magazines to people's doors, like the Awake magazine and the Watchtower magazines. And everybody knows these people because they're super annoying. And they pop up at your door and they're dressed up, and it's like, oh, great, this is going to be an hour of my time.
Yeah.
But that was my childhood. Was as a child, I was popping up at people's door with a mag. So
And you end with mentioning Goon Squad. You end strong. I think it's a good display of your talent at this time.
Probably, considering that was probably the first time I've ever really rapped in any sort of aspect. I mean, in public, I'd written, and that's why I'm saying structure and function is where I guess all of my talent was in, because I've never recorded songs. I'm not like these other people, so it was pretty good for what it could have been. I've seen far worse debuts.
And I mean, were you happy with the reaction? You mentioned Pat's Day before, but like altogether, people are pretty encouraging in the comments. I know you don't read comments either, but did you get any feedback?
I got a lot of good feedback. I got a lot of negative feedback, probably more negative feedback, but it didn't matter to me, because if the fact that I got any positive was kind of a surprise to me, just because you don't expect that as a fan who you watch for so many years. Like I've watched all of my favorites are from Philly, and I've to have people saying somewhat similar, or even it sounds weird to me even today to even say that somebody would claim that they're a fan of me or what I do. That was encouraging in itself, just because I did not expect it.
And were you eager after this battle to go back for the second battle against Prophecy?
I was eager to go back, yes. I was eager to battle again for them, but I was supposed to battle Ray Stacks, Ray Stizzy, and he battled at the first event that I was at. If you saw him, actually, his battle was also freestyle on the spot because someone else didn't show up. Right. So both of them were doing the same thing that I was doing. So it was a really cool event. This one, this event, I got invited back, and they wanted me to battle Ray Stacks, and I wanted to because he was on rap music, and he was also really good in his debut. So I thought it was the same concept everyone else was thinking. Like, this is going to be cool. Both of them were on the spot, and now they're going to battle each other. But the short end of it is he didn't show up, or he couldn't show up. I think he got in some legal trouble. So the day I got there, and the battle was the next day, and it was midday, right before I was supposed to be going to bed even. They asked me if I would switch opponents to Prophecy and try to, rewrite my rounds or whatever. And the thing was, my first battle I wasn't so happy with because of the way it came out. Like I said, first of all, people were saying some people were saying it was a mockery. Right. Also, I had it was on the spot, kind of like throwing stuff together. So I really wanted to show people that I could write a lot better than I did in my first one, which was fun for us, for one purpose, which was a lot of punchlines, but it wasn't really that structurally good to me. I wasn't happy with it. So I really wanted to do something more with this. So when Ray Stacks didn't show up, all my material went south, and I was like, I already flew out here, and I felt bad that they actually paid to fly me out. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it. So I wrote some stuff at the last second, but like I said, I was enthusiastic for the battle, but maybe not for Prophecy. You know what I mean?
One of the great things about battle rap background is, rappers with hoodies that say things on them. Do you remember the hoodie slogan in front of you when you battle?
No, I don't have a good memory, but
you rappers Twitter too much is what it says. It has
is that really what it's? Who is that?
I don't know who it is, but if you go watch, if you go watch you versus Prophecy, just made me laugh when I saw it. So shout out that guy.
That is hilarious because I don't even know. I probably wasn't on Twitter at that time either.
Right. So. You shout out OTBVA.
Yeah, and OTBVA was important. Still to this day, I support the guys. They're cool. I'm not active on there. I couldn't be because they'll roast me all day, or it gets taxing. But important place.
And I mean, let's mention RMBVA as well. It's a valuable source in the modern day, incredible forum, a great dumping ground for battle rap resume content. And you're the founder, right? Yeah,
I am, and it's still going to this day. And I really have my own the staff to thank for it. The staff that I myself signed up. These people they don't get paid for it. It's a thankless job. So I got to thank them because I'm not even as active on it as I should be.
Do you remember Prophecy's opening section, which is quite successful? Talks about the whore walked in, orgy forming, and he caught Foreman all in between four men trying to fist each other, but could only fit four in.
I did not remember this.
Okay.
But that sounds very Prophecy-like. So I completely believe you.
I mean, he has some good delivery, and the crowd enjoy it.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. He had good delivery. I will say this, and I have this thing where, I guess I learned it from a lot of battles that I'd watched. I liked when I saw somebody giving respect to somebody when they said something. And maybe I exaggerate it to the point when I'm there, I'm doing it to the point of sometimes I don't even think it's that good, really. And I'll still react to it like it's good. Realistically, with Prophet's a little bit different. You're probably going to notice that I'm not with all of my opponents. I'd say Prophecy I probably am the least happy with.
You acting like you're packing me, you're clapping me with fists, but the car lot's the only time he's ever handled any clips. He has to be a bitch, and since I cremate trash, call him Misty because I'm leaving all of his teammates' ash. Be a lane. I'll catch him outside of a TJ Maxx and drive his car into a lake. V8 splash.
Well, the battle itself was obviously because I slipped up in this battle for one, but for two, the way he handled it afterwards was kind of like, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to pretend this kid was good. I didn't think he was good, but at the same time, it didn't matter because he was, it's just someone's battling. I didn't understand one word he said, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like that whole thing you just said right now with the 4 men and a fisting and the four horsemen and whatever fuck is going on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words, but what the fuck are you saying?
He does have some... yeah. I mean, he talked about...
He had one line I remember to this day, though. I will give props that I don't know if it was good, but I remember it in plain English. And I was like, holy shit, that was English. And he said something about, like, the blade between something, like you're knighted or something. I remember those words, and I was like, I believe that has to be American English. So... you got to applaud that because he was actually using our language for once.
Yeah, no. And you do well in the intro, at least to your first. I think very successful. Not long ago, people got to witness my craft, and now I open that window, everybody feeling the draft.
Yeah, that was I think the reaction was pretty good on that. That was I don't know. I mean, it's just wordplay. Let's be honest, it's just wordplay, but. I liked it, and I mean, for the time I had to prepare, which was roughly maybe an hour, it was pretty good. But to be honest, I'm a last minute prepare altogether. Like I do that every time. I write the day before all my battles, but in this case, it didn't work too well with a few things. Not only did I have jet lag, and hopefully he's not listening, but my brother went with me to New York, and he was not in my favor. This boy wanted to go everywhere. Right. So we were doing all sorts of shit in New York instead of me preparing. So that kind of culminated, came up together to be not the best performance in the world for me.
Yeah, it's a little choke, a little slip up. It's quite early.
Yeah, it was early too. And thing was, it's the same thing with it, battles, and you got to learn this too. This is why it's important. I think that's why I'm kind of sympathetic to people who do choke in a battles because I've been there. But you really do feel like you have it down to an extent. And I was like, okay, I have it down as much as I'm going to. There's no way I'm going to get it better than this because I don't have enough time to keep doing it. So I went ahead with it. But realistically, I didn't have it down in terms of, because people always react to the points that you don't expect them to. And it throws you off of your cue, your mental cue. You're using a certain rhythm to keep track of what you're supposed to say next. And so, yeah, when people reacted, it threw me off.
Misty, leave all his teammates ash.
There you go with the Pokemon reference. And people to this day doubting that I'm built from it. Like I am I've been using these lines since day one. So if anybody wants to test me, they can go back and watch the fucking game tapes.
Who's your favorite Pokemon of the original 150?
Dude, that's a question.
Right.
That's a real question. I don't even. I mean, they would be of the 150 because I'm not.
Oh yeah. You're not a loser. Yeah.
No, probably. You know what? Probably Meowth because he was talking shit. That boy was talking shit in the anime. So
okay.
Probably him.
Metal at your door banging like a wind chime.
Yeah.
Pretty hard.
Yeah, it's a funny line. I like the visual better than anything. Just I like seeing in my. I'm a very visual writer. Where if something has a funny visual to me, which is just wind chimes banging against each other, I'll say it.
Right.
You know, because who cares? People are either gonna like it or not. They're not gonna like it. So, but it was funny. I'm at your door with metal banging or something like that with a wind chime.
Yeah. It's a strong end. I mean, it's a shame. There's a few holes in the round towards the end as well.
Yeah, and I had some good shit that I never got to get off. That stuff was that was like my entrance, and then my exit was something. I feel like I probably I might have even freestyled my exit because I couldn't remember anything. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, I didn't get to get a lot of stuff out, which was unfortunate because afterwards Prophecy was online, and like I said, I shared this video even though I was not happy with it.
Sure.
I'm always the type that likes to show love to somebody, even if it's like at my own expense. And this was in the days of the bit strip. I don't know if you remember bit strips.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this kid was dropping bit strips on his Facebook of him decapitating me.
Yeah.
Like decapitating. He had little comic strips over and over again for and I'm talking about 6 months past the battle. Still. And I'm like, okay, this is why you might notice I'm not pretending this kid is good anymore. Because he had no quotes. Your best quote from him that you said to me was about fisting men. So that's not my style. But anyway, I ended up blocking him on Facebook, just like I have thousands of others. But
yeah, of course. I mean, were you finding you were getting more recognized at events with this second battle, or
finding what now?
Getting more recognized at events. People are like, oh god, it's the famed Erik, or
I think I was already kind of recognized before that. Like I said, the fact that people knew of me was, I'm not known for my battles, and that's why whenever certain fans try to criticize me on my battles, I don't feel like it's okay. Yeah, but it's not really a big deal to me because that's not what my reputation is contingent on. Battles is kind of like a small thing for me.
Yeah, and we get into the next battle, which is a little while after this, July 2013. Another one rounder. Bit of a legend in his own right, your opponent, Dlor.
And he is a legend, and he should come back, but he's probably never going to. So, how
did it come about, this battle?
That was Aspect 1 and Lush 1. I mean, and they were... I would say Aspect 1 actually was the one who wanted it far more. Lush 1 was all about it, but he didn't arrange it. But either way, Aspect 1 really wanted this to happen because he knew of myself and he knew I had somewhat of that, nerd type style. Dlor was the same thing where he has a lot of nerdy references in his stuff. I don't know if you notice his stuff. So I guess he just thought it was a really good battle. And honestly, I was really good friends with Dlor. So they asked me, and I was like, okay. And we both agreed not to use any personals, which if you watch the battle, I'm sure you can notice only one of us stuck to that. Right. But I was like, whatever, okay, I'll do it. And it was fun.
I mean, sadly, some aggressive dislikes on this one.
Oh, yeah. And it was even more aggressive before I even rapped. It was funny. It was like a lot of these battlers they went up there. It was a pretty cool event, honestly.
Alcatraz, yeah.
Yeah. And then it got announced, Dlor versus Erik Foreman. And I think they recognized Dlor because unseasoned fans will know who Dlor is because he's been battling some grind time. Of course they're going to. Whereas myself, I was kind of a niche battler. Nobody knew. So even when I was walking up to the stage, this woman screams, kill this N-word Dlor or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, it was a very unfriendly thing, me walking into this battle. But it's nothing I wasn't I wasn't prepared for, because I've always been somewhat of an unpopular battle rapper to like, or maybe even unknown because of the battles I choose. Like I said, I was battling in the draft league while grind time was going on, and I had offers to battle in grind time. It's just I didn't take them, and it wasn't as appealing to me as battling in a small league. That was for Prophecy, of course, because the first one wasn't my choice. I just attended it, and then. But this one was, I actually was like, okay, I want to do this because it's King of the Dot. I'm battling Dlor.
Yeah,
it sounds cool.
Dlor battled Definition on World Domination. He's battled Saurus. He's battled Scribble Jam.
That was a crazy battle. Yeah, Dlor versus Definition. I just watched like maybe a few months ago.
Oh yeah,
that was a really cool battle, and I think some of the footage was just pictures because the camera messed up or something. But it was a great battle.
And you go first. I mean, people are talking at the start. It seems kind of quite hard to decipher you.
Yeah, they were talking, and I'm quiet. So there is really no excuse. I'm up there, and I'm somewhat of a lackluster performer. I put too much emphasis on my writing and not so much on my performing sometimes. And I guess it comes from my personality of really not giving a fuck. But it's no excuse. I'm not saying that in a cool way. I'm not one of these people says like, oh, I don't give a fuck, and that's cool. It really sometimes just doesn't add up and work correctly. And this was one of those crowds where it wasn't going to work because they wanted people to be up there jumping and screaming, but I wasn't the type.
Young Fred Flint, catch me pushing rock on a daily basis.
Yeah, that was, and you might see a little bit of a pattern from not only myself, but a few other people who I talk to and I'm close friends with, where we start shortening words. And that's somewhat of a thing that I started doing, was I started shortening words when I was rapping, because it was kind of like a fun way of expanding slang and even sometimes rhymes, So yeah, that was just funny to me. But this battle, I really went overboard, actually, because I told you the battle before. I was getting a lot of feedback saying, people on there saying, why is this white kid rapping about guns? And this tells you something. I mean, people don't give me the credit that I was one of the first doing it. I mean, these kind of lines. Now everybody does it. Everybody raps about guns now. But at the time, nobody was doing it. They were rapping about how much of a faggot their opponent was.
Right.
That was the only thing you were rapping about, is what kind of sex moves this guy was doing with his boyfriend. I didn't like that, so I was rapping about guns, and they didn't like it. So I said, you know what? This battle, I'm going to rap about drug dealing. Then we'll see how pissed off these fans get. So in a way, I can't be mad that people didn't like this battle, because I did it on purpose. You're
known for the trap shit like Kevin McAllister?
Yeah, see, and that was said later, like pretty close after, soon after, by B Magic, but
yes,
that was... Yeah, but that was I like that line a lot. It was just, 90s references mixed with either with street references is kind of like my favorite, like my forte,
Car similar to bar trivia, riddled with shots.
Yeah, I think that's arguably one of my best lines of all time, but it's because it's just, it's the entire thing, like the scheme of it was pretty intricate, and how much I packed into it. And it was because of who I was battling. I was battling Dlor. We both were telling each other, okay, I'm going to, this is all writing. We're going to see who's better at writing. Or not even see who's better, but, this is going to be a battle of the writers kind of thing. And so I really went off on that specific scheme. I had a lot of shit on that, but yeah, that one I think was a little bit slept on just because of who I am. Maybe if someone else said it, it would have been on some top 10 list.
Trying to make ends meet like a fisherman's knot.
Yeah. See, and that rhymes with riddled with shots too.
Crazy.
So, I mean, that's the whole thing was, You know, I probably, this is one of the ones that I actually probably remember the entire thing, just because it was one of my the favorite things I've written. But
yeah, it's really good, man. I mean, but someone called Erik Foreman comments on the video. I don't know if you remember the comment saying, "What the fuck, Erik Foreman should kill himself for rapping so quiet." #bum. So
I feel like sometime I should do a mean comments or mean tweets video, because I would have plenty to go for.
Yeah. I think that was you that made that comment, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But still, your point still stands.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. That's, now that I hear it, that sounds kind of like he might be a little bit seasoned, to be honest.
Right.
Think of it.
Dlor has some just arcane, awesome references. I'm half man, half beast, like an Animorph, and I'm morphing in and out of paintings like Ganondorf.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the boy's going crazy. Like I said, that's the I think that's why the battle was arranged, you know, because he did that kind of shit, and they knew I did somewhat similar stuff. But yeah, that was it. That was fire.
He works the room, you know. Compared to you, he does have quite an active energy, I think, when he's performing.
Yeah, he's a far better battle rapper. That's all I can say. And because there are two sides to battle rap. There's performance and there's writing. I'm good at writing, but you know, the performance, I guess I would have to have a personality change to really feel like I'm, you know, in the line with some of these guys who go up there and they actually maybe want someone's approval.
He allows you to street talk if you turn the gun eventually on yourself.
Yeah, I heard that. That was, I remember that. And see what I'm saying? That's a little bit of a personal. I'm not saying it, you know, it was actually a good angle that he started doing angles, but that's what I mean. That's an angle. So we both said no personals. He went up there and he started saying some shit about white kids and school shooters, basically, you know, and, you know, basically I'll kill you know, I can have guns if I kill myself or something, which, you know, it was a good angle.
And, you know, he does well, and the crowd isn't the most, you know, participant one, to be fair, but still, you know, it's good material for himself. What else was on that day or on that weekend? What good stuff did you see?
There were quite a few. Rum Nitty was really good that day. And in fact, I think Rum Nitty was on the comments of my battle. With Dlor. If you scroll down somewhere, he said some shit. I think he said like nerd shit boy or something like that, which is something I said in the battle, which,
right.
You know, sometimes you got to say something to like break an awkward silence. And when the fans are not really feeling it, it's like, okay, fuck these kids. At some point I abandoned like trying to get their reaction, and I just kind of like did me. And then, you know, that was one of the ad libs. I start really ad-libbing. And you know what's funny is I was saying boy a lot. I was saying, like, I had a whole scheme where, and my thought was, and this could be in its own way seen as somewhat provocative, but one of my favorite things in battle rap is when the street battler would start, they would have a whole segment where they were ending the bar in the N-word. It was like, it's always the hottest shit. And I can't even say that kind of shit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do one, but I'm going to say boy instead, because that was something I always said. Like, I would call people this boy. Like, I said it in this interview, in fact. I said, this boy over here got everything. So I had a bunch of boys in that. And then I saw in the comments people were calling me racist because I'm calling a black guy boy. I'm like, look, if you hear boy and you're thinking about slaves, you might be a racist.
Right.
Like, I think that word is kind of a common word. So
yeah. And you know, going forward from this, what was the influences, you know, because it was quite a while, 2 years almost, until we get into Step Easy, which is your longest break so far. Were you just kind of, again, you know, you don't need to keep too active, do you?
No, and I think that one was a bit more of a sign of things because I was a little bit dissatisfied of my battle with Dlor. The other two, you know, the first one I felt good about. The second one I didn't feel good about, but I had an excuse for it because it was switched the day of. Then Dlor, I battled him. Nobody liked it, and I actually did write my ass off for that one. So I was kind of burnt out at that point, and I said, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And that's why I didn't battle probably for 2 years, until they finally baited me into another one, with an opponent that I respect, which is Step Easy. And Step Easy is known as a really good writer. And so in a way, it's kind of flattering to be put against somebody like that, where people are saying, oh, this is a really good writer. I want Erik Foreman against him. Every time somebody says that, I respect it. And he's within the criteria of the type of person that I will battle, which is somebody who gets his own views because he's a recognized person. Because I told you after Prophecy, I was done battling weirdos who didn't get any of their own views and who were just going to make bit strips of me all day. So I'm not going to get any more free views for people. So that's why I battled Dlor and I battled Step Easy. And Step Easy was kind of in the same lane as Dlor, really. Really good writer, underrated, just like Dlor, and, gets his own, he gets his own kind of he has a fan base of some sort.
He said, Step Easy's, busy battler, 34 battles he's had. He's got over 1 million views, 1.7 million views. I mean, he's got a 1 million view battle, hasn't he, against Enigma?
He does, yeah. And that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, he's been around forever. Like when the King of the Dot logo was that kind of pale blue green in the bottom right, like he's on those sort of videos. So like, oh yeah, it's very, very cool to go in. Are you much of a researcher? I know you know the battles very well anyway, but do you watch like the back catalogue as you write, or?
As I write, no, I don't. But I've seen almost everything, and even if I haven't seen it, I know the natural progression of battle rap, so I know what hasn't been said, what has been said, even if I've not seen the battles themselves. Just because I know, it's very unlikely that this has been said yet. But when it comes to Step Easy, I had seen most of his battles. He's and in my eyes, he's a legend, of sorts. And same thing with Dlor. We can play around with the word legend all day, but they both battled early. He was battling early in King of the Dot. Dlor was battling early in Grind Time. So it was, it's a compliment to even be put against these kind of guys,
I mean, you begin, I should say, go Chris Mitchell at the front. Good to see him there. Chris Mitchell is that I didn't even know he was there, to be honest. Or Chris Mitchell at this Step Easy? Yeah, okay. I thought we were talking Dlor. I was going to say, if he was at Dlor, I wouldn't know. Yeah, he was at Step Easy, the Battle of Step Easy. And that was the first time I met him. He's a really nice guy. Boy has bars. Right, he actually has bars. If you've ever heard him like interviewing somebody, he'll say something that's like really witty. He should be battling, but side note. Yeah, definitely. Big up Chris. Yeah, I had him on the show quite a while back now, but check out that old Battle Resume if you want something to listen to. But yeah, he's here. Beast Mode. I love Beast Mode, Erik, just for the Beast Mode, just for that chant. It's so powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool. That was I got to shout out Lex on this one. I mean, they flew me out for this. They really wanted me on this card. And so that's kind of why I stepped it up a little bit in this one. And I didn't want to go in there, my last, I guess, display wasn't the best. So I was, okay, this is a really important one to me, just because I was booked by a friend who actually went out of their way. This is my first time out of the country to do this. So the Beast Mode was awesome. It reminded me of the old Draft League where I came from. It was very similar, a similar vibe. So it's a great thing where everybody there is super about it. Like you said, they've got a chant and everything before the battles.
Yeah, it's infectious, and your opening lines are excellent. If your man's cheerleader, I'ma give him a K.
Yeah, that's a
fire.
It's a funny one, if anything, and that's kind of the thing is I perform these kind of like with a straight face or dry humor.
Right.
So most people don't realize, like they think like, what the hell is going on with this kid? I don't get it. They hate it so bad, but it's just so funny to me. That was pure comedy to me,
right.
Cheerleading. And once I said it, that's a visual line again. That's the visual of a girl of cheerleaders raising a K is hilarious to me.
We mentioned it before. It happens again. A mag line, which we know you love. Mag with all types of bodies. You want a Playboy.
There we go with the boy again. And
yeah.
People are, and here we go. I mean, this guy's white, so I guess I'm racist against whites too. But yeah, I got a mag with all types of bodies. You want a Playboy? That was was flames to me.
Yeah. Rottweiler with dog collar because the buzz through the roof.
That to me is one of my favorites, just because of it's kind of weird. People probably, I mean, I don't know. People probably get it, but I'm just saying I don't think a lot of people got it.
Sure.
It's one of my favorite lines.
Again, the visual.
Yeah, and like I said, the buzz, like the buzz from electricity through the roof, which roof's the sound of a dog. So I thought that was a hot line, just because the buzz through the roof is a saying in itself. So, Rottweiler, and the fact that Rottweiler does rhyme with shot collar is kind of like that. That adds to it as well. So it's kind of like, has this not been said?
It reminds me a little bit. I'm sure you'll be aware of the guy, Dago Davalo.
Oh yeah, Dago. Yeah, I have a rule for him. If he ever says a line that I thought of, I'm still saying it.
Right.
That's the rule of Dago.
I mean, Dago's like incredible, man. Like his writing, amazing.
Yeah, it's funny because he's got those lines I'm talking about, where the lines that you might bite. If you went back in time and you had the opportunity, nobody said it. That's not technically biting. Like if you went back in time, you might take a couple lines from Dago, and that's it. For me, I mean, I'm pretty strict with what I use in my material. I don't use anything that's like I hate to say what a single entendre, which a lot of these people are doing. What I call single entendre is because they only make sense one way.
Right.
It's not even it's like makes no sense. Anyway, he has some hot ones that are like actually two ways, and that's the kind of material that I like to use. So shout out to Dago.
Yeah, always. Everyone knows on the show that I'm just a weird Dago fan. So shout out Dago. I need to get.
I don't think that's too weird though. He warrants it. He should probably have more fans than he does.
Way more. Like his Collie C battle. His rounds in that are impeccable. His reverse battle was sick. Like he's very intelligent, even his eye battle stuff. So yeah, shout out Dago. Step easy, because you're a narcissist. Style off a URL starter kit.
Yeah, there's the meme. Like I said, that's the meme I was mentioning from rap music, and that's what people were saying was I was I don't know, somewhat of living vicariously through street battle rappers and shit, so that's an angle for you. I'm not the best at angles. I don't go in there and angle people. Maybe if I battled somebody that I hated, I would try something. I would actually say something for once, because let's be honest, wordplay is cool and it's a fun little display, but I've yet to actually battle somebody because I've never said anything negative about somebody really. That's a good observation about me, like to say that I watched these street battles early on, and I kind of, adopted a lot of stuff, and that's the reality of it. I watched them. I was I'm impressionable in terms of my favorites, which is primarily stuff from Philly. So, it wasn't incorrect. It was actually accurate.
And again, the gun lines reign, really. They are your greatest strength. 9 on my hip. See the slide when it kicked like M. Bison?
Yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like if people have not played Street Fighter and got mad at somebody who was playing M. Bison, they might want to go back to the 90s and try it again, because that was infuriating. My dad at the time, and this is before he left, this boy was using M. Bison every single time, and I'm pretty sure he removed all buttons except for down and B.
Right.
Because that's all he was doing over and over again. I'm like, this guy. Okay, so I knew the slide the sliding kick very well. So that's another visual line to me. That might give me nightmares.
It's crazy. I mean, Step sort of takes on your persona a little bit. He talks of pushing snow like Mr. Plow. That's nice.
That's. I mean, dude, Steph has some fire in this battle. Honestly, I feel like people should watch it back.
Pushing keys since I was free. That's a speaking spell.
That's super flames.
Yeah,
that is fire.
That's crazy, actually.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, I said, maybe I'm biased, because if you've watched my battles, I have a weird, like a recurring theme of rapping about like baby stuff, childish things. It's fun to me to rap about childish things because everybody remembers it. It's relatable. If you don't remember being young, then you might be topper. I'm just saying that this is it's funny to me when somebody says something like the speak and spell. It's hot.
Yeah. And your third, you're sort of attacking stereotypes, tenets, tropes. Put him in a box like, what do you care? You're already dead.
Yeah, that was once again comedy, but dry delivery. I don't know if people catch it, but you know what I'm saying. That's funny to me. Like, I'll put you in a box. Like, I mean, what do you care?
Yeah. Deliver it really well. The acting classes paid off at last, I think. They're carrying gun for own protection. What the metal made for, like Rosie Jetson.
Yeah, there you go. Another one that was used later by I think John used that later. Actually, this is funny. Big K sent it to me on Instagram. He sent it on a direct message. He sent me a video of John saying the metal made Rosie Jetson line and said, you should post this on Instagram, call him out for biting it. And I was like, I would, but honestly, I don't want people to think I'm thirsty like that for attention. So I'm just going to let it rock. But shout out for Big K for even knowing my lines like that. That shows how cool of a person Big K is. He really did. When I met him, he knew. He came up to me and said, "You battled Kev Money, right? You were the one that battled." I was like, "Dude, this guy remembers that."
Yeah.
So shout out.
No, it is really impressive. It's great to see the progression in your battles from the first battle against Kev Money to hear 3 well-delivered, intelligent rounds. Did you feel in yourself that you'd grown, or?
I think what changed was realization and coming to terms. And I was battling for Lex. So, and this was 2 years after my Dlor battle, which didn't go well. And that was something that you build up. You're on the King of the Dot card. It was supposed to be on the main page, mind you, the Dlor battle, and it was on the main page for probably 15 minutes, and then one of them pulled it down. It was the first battle ever taking off the main page and put on the GZ page. So there was a bit of a controversy with Dlor and I where we were arguing, saying like, what the hell is going on here? That's a bit disrespectful. I'm not, at the same time, I love King of the Dot. They're the best. So, but like at the time I felt a little bit spiteful towards it. So like I said, my realization came that it's like, okay, people are not going to like what I do. So I might as well go up there and I might as well switch it to piss people off even more, and I somewhat had touched on it with Dlor, but a little bit I was like halfway into it. I wanted people to like what I wrote, so this time I really didn't give a fuck what people thought, with my Step Easy battle. And I think that's why it translated better. And that's why I'm a little bit better now, because I do come off as a lot more pretentious in these battles than I did in my previous, if you notice. I'm kind of like up there doing some, like I said, I'll put you in a box, like, what do you care? That's an example of like not giving a fuck. That's not even a punchline. That's just like making fun of punchlines. And that was why I think I didn't care. And I learned in rap in general, trying is losing. Like, if you're trying, you're bad. It's a game of effort, being effortless. And so that's, in that battle, I didn't try so much, and I think that's why it came out better.
And we get onto the next battle then against Nakiya, Battle of the Zay. This is an interesting matchup. How did it come about?
That was pure Nakiya, honestly. That was a funny thing, because he battled Erik Foreman, which everybody says we're doppelgangers,
Right.
That's like another meme that comes out where everyone wants Farrell to battle me. So he battled Farrell on that birthday party thing, and it came out really funny, and everyone laughed at it, liked it. It was lighthearted, cool battle, and I guess he wanted to battle me. And you know what? It's funny because I was watching your show with Nakiya on it.
Yeah,
and he had mentioned. I mean, you could go back and watch that episode to see really what the thought behind it, because I was surprised even hearing it on your show. He was actually serious. He thought I was gassed, or I'm like, maybe I feel like I'm more important than I am, and that was his thing. He wanted to battle me. So he paid for my travel to come out there and battle him. And To be honest, I didn't prep too much for this, and it kind of showed from what I was seeing. I mean, I didn't feel like it was the greatest performance in the world, but I was, at the time, the only reason I took it was because Fresco, and I'm really good friends with Fresco, we're like practically brothers, was battling Thesaurus the day before at, I can't remember the event name, but you remember Fresco versus Thesaurus.
Oh, yeah.
And
back to
so
basics, something, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Back to Basics 2, maybe?
I think
don't know.
so, yeah.
But either way, he was going to battle there, so I was like, okay, I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll battle again, and I'll watch that battle. So I was mostly there helping him prepare for his battle with Thesaurus, so I didn't have much time to kind of... I finished writing my rounds on the way to the event, so... Nakiya, what his thought process of that battle was. He really wanted to battle me.
Yeah. I think he wanted to just battle Erik, so I remember him saying to me. So obviously you and Farrell. And I think
well, I'm
DNA.
sure there was a connection. Yeah, there's a connection there. But he also legitimately didn't respect me too. I think it's changed now. He's told me now that he respects me on a certain level.
Right.
He said on some points he respects me, which is comedic. It shows how funny Nakiya is. You know, I got nothing but respect for him. He's a contributor to Battle Rap. I could care less what he thinks about me or the negative thoughts he has about me. Some of them are probably warranted. But he's, that he wanted to battle me because he actually thought he had an angle about me. He thought I was a mockery. Battle Rap isn't fun. You know, that whole thing.
But I mean, despite that, royalty in the scene, Lush says that he calls you Corleone. No, sorry, Dirtbag Dan says that, but Lush is there. Reverse, like it's a very sort of A-list kind of, West Coast event, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot. It was a Battle of the Zay event too. Funny thing, we weren't on the flyer at all because it was like a last minute thing that Nakiya decided to do. Dirtbag Dan didn't think it was important enough to put on the flyer, so he didn't remake it or anything. So we were kind of just an afterthought for that event, But it was a cool event. There was, I know that there were quite a few crazy battles that I've seen. I mean, the thing was that there were a lot of chokes. So,
okay, I said Lynx looking husky, and it's not a Jimmy Dean's. I got a bottle sipping lean and a shot of grenadine. Oh, you got a little bit of bread? I got a lot of bit of cheese. Looking like I hit the lotto, but it's not a pretty scene. I got the Prada looking clean and the llama in my jeans. I utterly milked it.
The writing works well. Hitting the scene when I Aerosmith, it's Armageddon. I don't want to miss a thing.
Yeah, and the best part about that line is it's recycled. So that shows you how good it is. No, but I've always been the type that thinks that recycling is funny as hell. I don't think it's bad at all. People get so bent out of shape out of it, or that it makes it funny. But I had used that line once before in a radio battle with Nestle, and it was, I liked the line enough that it was like, okay, nobody had heard this because it's on a radio battle. I'm going to say it against him. And so, yeah, it's just a funny, another visual to me was the Armageddon movie was funny to me because it was like the longest music video of all time. It's really just the movie Armageddon is one big music video for the Aerosmith song, but
right,
that was nice thought process.
Yeah. Leave a mark lying down like memory foam.
A lot of people like that one. I was surprised because I like it because it's it's a double entendre rather than a single, so it makes sense both ways, but realistically, that's kind of throwaways, to be honest. It's just funny.
Yeah, it works. I mean, Nakiya starts well. What's important to Erik Foreman message boarding, but he just sort of slips up as he does in most of the rounds. Unfortunately, he just sort of pauses quite early and doesn't begin again.
Yeah, I'd like to say though, there's a parallel to that. You could say that he won because, like I said, the key to winning a battle is putting in the least effort, and this guy didn't even have rounds for me, so maybe he won on some level.
Okay.
And that message boarding line, I actually was surprised about it. Turns out, I guess Lush One wrote it for him. They just announced it like a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Mentioned it.
Oh, right.
But it's funny to me.
So at least we heard it in some form or another. But little bit of bread. I got a lot of bit of cheese. Your character comes out in that sequence.
Yeah, that was just me being a little bit, once again, just doing it, knowing I was going to make people mad, making the fans mad, and that's become my new niche. Is, so. But that's from an old commercial. They had like a lot of bit of cheese was in a really old, like a 90s commercial. So
right.
That was one of the. Yeah, it was another one where I'm just saying things that are relatable to very few who've probably seen it, and I think that's the fun part of it.
You rap with your inside voice because you're feeling right at home.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
there you
good.
go. That's an excuse right there. But it was just a fun way of like joking at my own expense, really, and kind of making light of something that's super obvious. Everybody in the room knows I'm quiet, and I've tried my best to remedy the situation. So maybe the best way is to just adopt it and just enjoy what I'm doing rather than beating myself up over it,
And according to Nakiya, on 9/11, he was trying to find find drugs. It was harder for him to hide drugs. He was talking about. Sorry, I got slipped up there. This isn't hip hop if it's not fun. I mean, it's a very short round, isn't it? Again, he doesn't, clock in too hard.
Yeah, but maybe he was just spitting real shit. I mean, maybe that was real shit.
Right.
Because that sounds pretty. I mean, it honestly sounds kind of hard. If it was said by somebody else in a different wording, that might be. You might have the URL fans going nuts. So that's kind of hot.
I mean, way hotter. Marin Luigi, you compare him to Boo, first of all, and then you talk about always smashing questionable box.
That was me playing around heavily because like I said, the third round, I was just kind of like, okay, I got to write one last thing. What's going to get people really mad is I went really in depth in a lot of intricate things, because I know a lot of people like that shit. Like they really like the intricate, what do you call it? In depth about a topic, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to do that real quick. And I did it starting off with I started off with legends and like Paul Bunyan and, the Ox and all sorts of stuff. And I went into, hit a sweater with the Ox was somewhat of, that went in line with, it was such a reach. That's why it was so funny to me. I thought of it in the shower, actually, and whereas most of my shit I come up with. And I was like, I just thought of hit a sweater with the Ox. And once again, it's revolves around slang for weapons again. And Ox, I just love the fact that that's a weapon, like a knife. So I thought it was hilarious, hit a sweater with the Ox. And then I was thinking about, okay, who sweats who has an Ox? And I was like, oh, Paul Bunyan was a,
Oh yeah,
probably, so I had a huge, I had to put together an angle to come up with how this punchline would work. So that's why it was so funny to me, and I was being kind of playful with Nakiya, because I knew he said hip hop's not fun, so I thought it would be funny to be really ridiculous with some of the imagery in that, and then all of that kind of led to Questionable Box, which really was, like I said, most people see that line as like the punchline, the one that ends it, but really Sweater with the Ox, which was the setup, was the initial thought. That's what I thought of, and then I turned it into, as time goes on, that's how I do it. My punchline, I never use as a punchline. I always use it as my setup. And that's why people say like, oh, I sell my setups really well. I heard Dirtbag Dan say that on an interview. But no, it's not that. It's that I force myself to outdo them. Like if I think of a really good punchline, I will then put it as a setup, and then I will continue off of it. That way I'm forced to come up with something even better with it. And then it sounds like, holy shit, that was really... I'm giving up too many secrets right now.
No, this is. I'm taking notes, man. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, interesting. But and the final battle is against Jeffrey. Very cool that you got to clash in the bunker before its untimely demise.
Yeah, thank God too, because that's a legendary venue. I would hate to not be able to be part of that, because it's somewhat akin to grind time. You don't want that's something that once it gets buried with history, it's you can't say you were part of it if you were never there, and I was never in grind time, so that was something where I needed to battle at the bunker.
Yeah, definitely. And battling Jeffrey, you guys are close, right?
Yeah, we're very close. In fact, he's in the next room. So
Right.
we are roommates now. But at the time, we knew each other through Feral, through, friends, because we've always been friends on the internet and stuff. But that might be the first event that, oh no, the first event I ever met him at was the one before that, where he battled Laughingstock. So, but yeah, we were friends, but only through like casual means.
And again, there's a huge variety of stars in the background, which is awesome to see. Madflex is there, and pretty much when you kick off the first line, the what's really USA, not USA, Reverse Live just spits fluid everywhere.
Yeah, apparently he spit it all over Jeff too. Jeff said he was trying to play it cool and act like he didn't get spit on, but apparently he did. But yeah, that was hilarious to me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it was that funny to him, but to me, it's like, it's great when I get those ridiculous reactions, because I know it's getting people mad. It's getting people really mad because they're thinking he's not even good,
right?
And it makes them mad because it makes them think that I think I'm good, and in a weird, twisted way, I do. So fuck off.
Disaster when facing this iron. It's not Solomon.
Yeah,
let's go.
That's just that's references, but let's be honest. It's just good filler, is what it is. It's filler that's decent.
Yeah.
But I wrote this battle on the way. So I had some good shit in it, and I had some really good concepts, but holy shit was it last minute. We weren't going to do it. I was in Vegas the day before, and Jeff and I were still talking, saying, are we going to do this? Like, are we going to do this battle? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I have to drive home. I still haven't written. I'd have to memorize it on the way. And he was like, well, just let me know so I can cancel my flight. And I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. So most of this stuff that's why my shit's kind of short. He also I mistook it too, because we both wrote the same amount of material, but his delivery is slower than mine. So his took up far more time than mine. So I didn't take that into account. So I kind of regret that. I'll have to make up for it next time.
Yeah, but I mean, just, the quality shines through. Grip toast like dish soap. I palm all of them.
Yeah, Lex made me say that because I when I was battling Step Easy in Canada, I had mentioned it as one of my throwaways. I was like, I told him I was going to say this, and he told me, you better say that at your next event or your next battle. He was right. And then I didn't against Nakiya, and I forgot to, so I said it against Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff starts with talking about how J Pro hit his jack.
that's Jeff fashion. He did that. I think he did the same thing with Laughingstock, where he said something like he inboxed Organic with a coffee scheme, which is hilarious. Like I said, Jeff has one of the funniest sense of humors.
Oh yeah, Jeff versus Laughingstock is an incredible battle.
It's my favorite by far. I don't know how mine and his have more views than Laughingstock and him, because that one should have 100,000 at least.
Yeah, they're both so good in the battle. I need to get Jeff on the show. Actually, I've had Laughingstock on. That would be he's a brilliant writer. So I mean, he works well, but I think you just have kind of more punches. You outpunch him really. The whole connect with the infrared like a Game Boy Color.
And once again, 90s stuff, but that was I did kind of do a lot of punches because I knew Jeff is good, and I didn't know what he was going to come with. Turns out he came with some. He was off the wall with it. He did some almost like compliment rounds. So it didn't even, he didn't even really try to diss me much. So it was not quite a fair match in terms of if we're going to try to judge it as who won. I don't think it's too judgeable, but I did have a lot of punchlines in that, and I did have some really good stuff, but
you did, you really, really did. And I think Jeff, he wasn't that direct, but more cans in the bunker than a Doomsday Prepper's nice.
That's fine.
Ain't checking me, kid, like a voicemail from your mom.
That is relatable.
Yeah,
because I never did. I never checked that. No, but I love those lines because that's if you're not, like I said, if it's not relatable, then that's your problem. I don't know where you were.
And that marks about a year or so ago, maybe like 14 months or so. You going to return to battling 2018 or?
Yeah, I mean, I already have somewhat one jotted in. I was supposed to be this year, but I mean, things happen and opponents. I have to be very careful with my opponents, and like I said, the problem with me is my name is it supersedes my battles. I'm not so much. I say I'm a battle rapper, and I am, but realistically, I was known before my battles, and even if I stopped battling, I would still be known in some aspect just because of the role I play with fans. So I have to be careful who I battle because right now I'm not in a specific tier. There's nobody says I'm low, mid, top tier, whatever. So I call it special tier because it's the people like Step Easy, for instance. Where do you put Step Easy? Where do you put Dlor? Where do you put Jeffrey? Like, you can't put Jeffrey in a mid tier. He's battling on URL. But he's not battling against top tier opponents like he battled Goods, but you know what I mean.
Right,
he's not
right.
battling on King of the Dot in top tier, and realistically, that's the tiers only exist on the King of the Dot side. So my point is, if I battle somebody who's like a newcomer or something, the fans are gonna love to put me in that same bracket. They're gonna say, "Oh, he's in that tier." And so I have to be very careful and only battle people who won't pigeonhole me.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, you talked about wanting to battle Lucifer, maybe potentially. Is there anyone else ideally you'd like to battle if a battle did happen?
Well, for the most part, no. I mean, there's nobody that if there was, I probably would have had it already booked. But I will say there are people who want to battle me who I'm fine with. Like, I know Reverse Live wants to battle me, and I would do that. And there are quite a few out there. I think even Shoddy P had mentioned he wanted to battle me, and I definitely would battle Shoddy P. So there are a few out there, and I think it comes down to just somewhat likable people. There are a few people very few people that I don't like that I would battle. I know people mentioned me battling Caustic a few times, and it's like, I'm like, why? I guess so I could battle his group of friends or whatever. But the point is, really, I guess I would, but I don't know how I would approach it. It wouldn't be the same approach that I've done in other battles, and so who knows how that's going to happen or how that would work.
Okay, interesting. I mean, any UK guys you'd like to battle hypothetically?
Yeah, there are some. I mean, it's kind of a crime that I'm not so onto British battle rap, but some of my favorites from battle rap were Blizzard for one. I mean, he kind of got kind of big at some point. I don't know anymore where he is, but he's Blizzard is amazing. Soul is a great writer. Yeah, obviously, and I think he's another one that's getting that's my only problem with naming battle rappers from Britain is, or I don't even know. Would you say Britain?
yeah, Britain's good.
I'm American, so that Britain is kind of the entire right side of the world. But that was, maybe he's too big over there for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what it's like over there. I don't know what would make sense, but there are a lot of people that I actually like there. O'Shea is crazy.
Of course.
O'Shea is hilarious. Henry Bowers is cool. So
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just interested to see who you might pick out, but we'll close up with a few quickfire questions. We'll just top of the head sort of stuff. The first one: favorite King of the Dot battle.
That's tough. That is really tough. I will say probably Fresco versus Thesaurus.
Oh man, yeah.
I think, and I had other favorites before that, but I think that one's kind of hard to top because it was so good from both sides. When you watch Thesaurus's, that's probably Thesaurus's best performance. It might be his best performance. Some of his best material.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that it was considered not close shows how good of a performance Fresco's was. So the fact that both sides were so damn good, that probably has to be my favorite. And plus, I saw it live, and I was kind of behind the scenes in terms of Fresco's preparation for it. So, I have that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. Brilliant choice. What about URL?
URL. Probably Young Ill versus Calico. Probably.
Right.
I believe that's the one. Maybe I'm mixing up opponents, but that's one of my favorite. And that's the prime. That's in the prime of Young Ill. So, yeah.
Okay. And I'm not sure how accurately you can answer this with what wisdom, but the Don't Flop. Do you have a Don't Flop battle?
Yeah, I actually have watched Don't Flop battles. I would say probably that's an even tougher one, just because I don't think I've seen enough Don't Flop battles to tell. So, but I will say I've seen a lot of my friends that go over to Don't Flop. My problem with watching Don't Flop is that for once I would be put in the place where I don't feel like I'm seasoned.
Right.
These people, actually, the fans probably know more than I do over on the Don't Flop sector. So going over there is kind of intimidating a little bit, just because. But I would say one of them was God damn it, I'm forgetting his name, but he's like the Asian guy who's always saying some really offensive shit. You probably know.
Right. Zayn Azrai?
Zayn Azrai. Yeah. He battled someone there. Do you remember who that was?
He's battled Mark Grist.
Mark Grist.
Yeah.
That was it.
10. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
All right, good choice. Yeah, that is a fucking pretty white knuckle ride, that battle, certainly. And,
it's hilarious.
He's at the center of that. I guess battle-wise as well, name us some old school battles that people probably haven't seen that they should check out.
Oh, I might have to think about that one. Other than famous versus Cito, but I mean, even if you're talking with people like that, like famous, I think it was Cito actually who battled Marv 1, and that was a crazy one. And Marv 1, you could look it up online. It's around the same time period.
So, final two questions. First one, what's your favorite film?
My favorite film, probably. Oh, it's kind of tough now because the guy came out as a creep. But Seven is awesome. I like Seven a lot.
Oh yeah,
Kevin Spacey really. Actually, you know what? I think that was the final twist. Now that I think about it,
holy shit,
dude! There was a twist already, and now I didn't realize there was a fucking final twist. He was actually a creep in real life.
Yeah, it wasn't a head in a box. It was a skeleton in a closet. It was. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so. Now that I think of it, Seven. I don't know if there's a better movie made because it manifested into reality. But that one's great. Another one is Sideways. Most people probably won't like that one, but it's a very dry humor, hilarious to me,
and dry wine as well.
Yeah, and it's relatable to me as somebody who doesn't even drink. It's relatable to me just because I know what it's like to be the stick in the mud around people who want to have fun. And I think that was a great movie to me just because of the relatable character of somebody who's like, he just can't have fun the same way as some of these other people who just want to get drunk and, fuck around. Yeah. I'm kind of like that, so I love that movie.
And finally, your favorite musical band or artist that are in no way hip-hop related?
Justin Timberlake, probably.
Okay, nice.
He's a legend, and even on NSYNC, he was fire on NSYNC. He came out and he's still doing it. If you listen to his, he has like a complete collection that just came out a while back, and it's, really good. Plus, he doesn't try hard. His lyricism is actually pretty good. I don't know if he writes it himself, but whoever does it's very hard for me to listen to music without, kind of breaking down the lyricism. And so I think it's effortless and good. But,
yeah, I agree. 2020 Experience, actually, I've listened to quite a bit.
That's a great
great record. That Girl is such a good song. And that Strawberry, whatever that one is, there's some great fucking tracks in there. Yeah, interesting choice, man. So I guess finally, how do people get at you? Obviously RMBVA, any Twitters, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter under Foreman Erik, and I actually had Erik Foreman on Instagram, but I switched to Foreman Erik just to match that because it was irritating me having one of them that was different. So my Instagram's the same. My Facebook, I think, is Erik Foreman, but maybe Foreman Erik. I can't remember if I switched it, but either way, people could get at me unless they're on my block list, which is very likely. I mean, even if you've never talked to me, you might have ended up on my block list somehow. Right. My block list is like the Star Wars credits. It's unreal. I mean, but it's for a reason. I mean, people are kind of creeps, and weirdos in battle rap. So I got to filter out some of the negativity.
Okay. Well, it's been a great pleasure to have you on, man. It's been a history lesson. It's been awesome going through these battles and discussing whatnot. Thank you so much for coming on again, Erik. Appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. You're the best.